Okay, hello everybody. I'm going to do another real-time update like I did last night, and I hate doing these because, as you see, I post all those videos every night. But I want to do this update, and it's whatever it is. What is tonight? You'll see this a few minutes after I make it. It's Wednesday, May 22nd. 2019, just so you know, because I recognize I post a lot of videos. Okay, first thing that caused me to say, oh, maybe I'll do one. Right after I made that video last night, and I kind of critiqued Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook, not too long after, maybe a few minutes after, I didn't know until just now, they removed one of my websites. I had two sites on Facebook. The main one is under my name. And then over time it said, you know, they hound you, like start a page. So I had a page that was called Corpus Christi Outreach Ministries, which is gone. At least you can't post to that page anymore. I found it interesting because I made a little bit of a critique of social media in general, and I kind of maybe exposed a little bit of some of the problems. And then Facebook froze that page. The page might be gone. Now, to give a little credit to Facebook, maybe it's because I didn't have a lot of activity, but there was a few people I noticed that maybe they just found that page because it would show like every night there was at least, oh, I forget, at least one person would view everything every night. You know, now, how many? But that means somebody was viewing it. To me, it's not a big thing because I have so many sites. But what that would show you, what do I post, particularly on that page? All of the many posts you see me post on the regular Facebook. And for the most part, what I try to do, there are times, of course, where I've gotten engaged in political arguments and all. But for the most part, I'm trying to teach. And I try to have history when I teach, Bible primarily, obviously. And I thought, but say if somebody was just dependent on a page, on one website, on Facebook, it shows the power of why you, I'm happy with Instagram video, which is now owned by Facebook. And I would never want to be hesitant to critique what I feel is an honest critique. This last year, for those who don't read a lot of tech blogs, tech sites, I get notifications from those sites because I've read from them. There was a lot revealed on why I'm not a conservative and I'm not a liberal, but why a lot of conservatives were rightfully upset. Those who have never watched the documentary on Netflix called Creepy Line, watch that documentary. It shows you how basically Google and the way they do Google search manipulated about 7% of the electorate towards, when Mr. Trump won and Hillary Clinton lost, it's estimated about 7% of the electorate were manipulated to vote for the Democrat candidate. And it explains how that was done, even though Mrs. Clinton did indeed lose. And I'm familiar with how they do these types of things. And it would be too long for me to explain it all in this video. But a few things I'll give you of note. Facebook, Google, and others, they began a few years ago banning people that were simply conservative in political view. A man by the name of Dennis Prager. I've never watched his videos, but I've heard the man on various, okay, has a conservative view. And they begin, some of the news media, like CNN and others, what they did was they teamed up with the Southern Poverty Law Center, who YouTube had hired this past year. When they gave me one strike on YouTube, meaning two more, and YouTube's gone. And I said, why did you strike me? And then they just, never mind. But what they did was, and I was talking some political speech at that time, and the Southern Poverty Law Center began. They have a record of defending, the minorities. That's what it is. I forget the name. The man who heads it up, Potok. But they began describing certain conservative organizations as hate groups. They gave them that designation. The Southern Poverty Law Center did. And some were just simply conservative. And then they teamed up to have them banned from PayPal. And then I don't take money for anything. But then PayPal would not allow certain Christian or conservative groups to use PayPal. This happened on a woman that was just she was anti-abortion, Christian woman, same thing. And then they began banning them from using the banking system online. Primarily it is done through PayPal. Other means we have too. So it wasn't just a matter of an honest opinion of people in the public market. It was a real manipulation that the tech sites and the big ones were doing, targeting conservative points of view. Now, my overall view of these things that are going on in society, I love everybody on Facebook. I see Facebook that it's become a massive party line. The old days you used to have a phone. I was talking to my mom on the phone the other day. And she said, "Oh, John, you still remember the party line?" And you'd be on the telephone and you'd hear other people in on different conversations. And I think for the most part, regardless of the motivations of people that are behind these things now, for the most part, it's just become a massive blogosphere where, 80-something% is just a big party line. And I understand that people like to post memes and things, and I'm not criticizing any of my friends, because to be honest, I don't have time to just scroll through Facebook and to look, okay? And I think people want to engage, and I understand that. But I think a lot of this has just become a vast wasteland. Okay? A while ago, a few years ago when I started putting my old radio tapes, there's some of them on my WordPress site, the old radio shows. And I'm not doing false advertising. If you go to my ccoutreach87.com, it says radio host site. That's not a lie. I originally was going to start that site to upload, and I even bought the device to convert all of my cassette radios, cassette tapes. There's the old machine I used to use to make, that's like $1,000 tape duplicator back in the old day. You'd make master tapes on cassette. I'd speak here into a simple cassette recorder. And then there was a site where they offered like free storage, just net for video or whatever. And I was converting them. And then I noticed one day it was gone. And then when one of these blogs out of my mini websites, I joined one, and then they said, "Oh, it's glad to have you back." And I realized, oh, that's that group that like offered free space. I didn't know it was the same group because it was a different name. But anyway, I got on that website. I'm still on it out of the multiple websites I have. But yet, I was on a free plan, and some are free, some are paid. And it always, I'll get to a point. And then they gave me the professional plan later for free, as best as I can tell. Now, maybe they did it because they were happy that I was promoting that particular website by being consistent and by trying as best as I can to post quality. But even though sometimes you get special favor, this also happens. I'm glad I have the free pro plan, because I used to have to just post partial parts of my post, and then I noticed it all changed one day. It was a lot. I said, oh, maybe they favored me, and I didn't like it. I didn't like having people that run these things to make decisions personally, like, oh, let's favor this one, and I'd like them to be fair across the board. So that was quite interesting. That page that Facebook froze, it's not the first time they did it. And if they even ever took me off, I wouldn't mind. I love everybody, and the main purpose I use it for is just to maybe some of my old friends can follow along with us. But I have learned to really value some of the less well-known ones, where it's not, you're not involved. The big tech and Facebook, one of the big one, YouTube as well. They're going through so many things happening, and threats of federal regulation, all these, and then for people that are just saying, look, I'm going to write, I'm going to post, and then to know that you're caught up in that. I just think it's gotten to a stage where it would be a benefit for the general population to really use some of these other tools for those who want to have an online presence. And as much as I have an online presence, I don't spend time. I used to look at the news regularly. I still check it on my phone, which is online. But I don't spend I think a lot of people are using these tools, for the most part, as a waste of time. I used to like playing the PlayStation war games. Some guys at the firehouse played, and I liked the little, but I don't have time to do that. But you know, there's a lot of people that spend hours a day because it's interesting, and you know, playing in these types of games. But what you have to look at is it just wasted time? Could you be mastering another skill of how to use a particular website, and then maybe to teach? Say, John, if you're a Christian, there are good Christians who post scriptures daily to Tumblr and these other sites, and that's a benefit. And it's not saying everyone's going to be just posting teaching or scripture or whatever. And sometimes people do post encouraging words, but I've just found that I see it as a vast wasteland for the most part. We have other instances again where online, I never mentioned it. This was in an Asian country this last few weeks, and a girl took a vote. She was a 16-year-old girl, maybe it was India, I forget where. And she took a vote and said, should I kill myself? And then they started, and it was either on Twitter, on Facebook, one of those. And then the votes to kill themselves passed the votes to not kill, and she killed herself. And then later they said the next day, the votes changed after she was dead. But they thought maybe people went in realizing that, what a disgrace. And of course, I think it might have been Facebook or Twitter, one. And we sit back and we look at this and we say, what are we allowing to happen? What do we, if you're able to block my site where you did tonight, one of them, which is nothing of that nature, but yet you're unable. When I love all my new friends on Instagram, because the last few days I figured, let me join different groups and all. And I felt bad because I could see already that, you know, some of the girls that are on Instagram that friended me, you know, they have whatever. I don't look at the pictures. And so-and-so sent you a picture. There was a sweet girl that became a friend. Thank you for... And then I got like 4, and I don't talk on my phone. And that day I had 4 or 5 messages from Instagram. Thank you for friending me, John. Thank you. And then one of them said, and if it's you, dear, I'm glad you're a friend of mine. But then I had to block it. And then I felt guilty because one of the messages she sent was, thanks, John. And then, I know you don't like to talk on your phone, which meant she must have watched my videos where I had mentioned that over these last few years. So it made me feel a little more guilty that somebody maybe that's doing those things on Instagram and all, and I don't click the links to pictures that are sent. And so I blocked her and unfriended her and did everything on Twitter. And then a day or two later, when I started sending out invitations, I put the follow back. And then I think she just said like hi, and I didn't respond. Now I understand her, and I felt bad because I want everybody. I don't want to discriminate in the sense like if you're in a different lifestyle and you stumbled along watching these, great. Many of my friends in the street, I had to encourage. I was with a couple of my friends, and I just make a note for our local friends. You all know who I hang out with. You all know who are my friends. And some of them, came out publicly for God, more so than maybe most of you knew. And he's gotten some of my other friends mad because of some of the things he recently came out against, things that a lot of people struggle with, meth, ice. And I know some people are getting mad at this friend of mine. But I could see he's really seen. I'm going to give him this Bible tomorrow. I looked for another one to give him. He got converted when he was in prison. And he really was on fire for God in prison. And then since he's been out, and I would say to the other friends that might be a little upset with him now, something that's caused him to be so openly against meth, though he struggles with it. And though many people that in his something that caused him to get that way is not that he's self-righteous all of a sudden. He saw the effect it had on some people that were close to him. Okay? And I've seen that before. That when people that are all using, sometimes they'll see other friends that they crossed a certain line. I've seen this happen with friends. And it makes them mad at the drug, though they themselves have stumbled and used. So try to keep that in perspective for my local Corpus friends, okay? So I do understand that everybody needs to have balance when they start doing ministry, and so I just would add that as a note, okay? So I did this little update Wednesday night. I found that quite interesting, and even when I saw I was blocked from that one and they froze it again, it just also made me think how many people that are, if you're a business and you're investing in ads in a particular platform, and if you realize that a lot that goes on behind the scenes, when they banned Dennis Prager from Prager University, a conservative guy, and YouTube did a certain thing, and then when they looked at it, they are manipulating so much. If you just searched on YouTube these last 10 years and the word abortion, what trended by the natural algorithm to the top of the list were pro-life videos, meaning just because of the population that was using YouTube and doing YouTube searches, and when you put the word abortion in, pro-life videos would naturally trend to the top. And then what happened was some pro-abortion people and groups and activists, along with certain media groups, contacted YouTube, complained, and that YouTube manually changed the algorithms, meaning it wasn't a natural process. It wasn't a free and fair market of a public voice. They changed it so anti-life videos would show up first. Okay, now all of that is manipulation. All of that, we need massive regulation on these sites. And a lot of conservatives in the beginning said, don't do those types of things. Yeah, but what you have to have, and we used to regulate, public companies for various things. And the giant tech industry, YouTube, Google, and all these sites, they're no longer just seen as offering the way they get away with a lot of not being accountable is they claim that they just are offering a free platform. They're not like real media. But what they have to, the reason they do that is if it's shown, which they have done, is engage themselves. The companies themselves and the executives themselves have made executive decisions that were discriminatory towards other points of view. So now, that's now been proven, which means they got to fall under a greater regulation. The loophole they were using in the law to get away from accountability is now gone for them. But the government has not stepped in and regulated like they should. So that's our little note for tonight. Let's see. Those of you that watch all these videos, I never wanted to ask people to friend or like, or I just always felt like it was like pandering. But if people go to my YouTube things, and make sure you get my first one, if you're gonna subscribe, or it says 30-something subscribers, but I noticed those other ones that I just did as test things, it's better to just go to the one YouTube. But the reason I have all these other things is so you go to all these other things as well, all right? So, welcome to any new friends today on Instagram, and even those that maybe, most people know by now that if they keep messaging me, if girls keep messaging me through the new Instagram thing, they realize, and after about 4 messages, no answer, and then I unfollow, and then I even blocked the function where they can't message me. And I didn't do that to offend, and I felt bad because that one person that did to said, I know you don't like talking, and that meant to me they watched some of our videos over time. And so I bless everybody, and I would ask all of you that are on social media and Facebook and all, people have struggled. I've seen these things where people said, I'm gone, I'm leaving, I'm quitting. Now, why are they going through those struggles? And they go for a few days and they're back home. There's an addictive thing to it, okay? And the engineering behind Facebook and others, they knew that there was a lot of kids that were so many likes, so many dislikes. A lot of suicides took place because of social media. But they knew in the beginning points, in order to try to trap everybody in, to get as many people to use Facebook as possible, many people use that if they develop certain systems, they would be psychologically harmful to minors, okay? And they did it anyway, okay? This has all come out. This is, some of you might not be aware of it. So what we're looking at is, an aspect where they're damaging our kids in society because they've been unable to take their foot off the pedal. Zuckerberg and all these heads of these, they're just as addicted to the monsters that they've created. The same drive that the kids are being, they're suffering from it too. A responsible head of Facebook or YouTube or whatever would recognize, man, we have gone out of control. You have. What a disgrace that girl, I think she was 16. Now, you couldn't pick up that she asked all of her friends on that site, whatever one, Twitter or Facebook, and she put the poll out. The poll was out for a day and a half, and she kills herself. You should be held criminally liable for that. The heads of that. And if it was Facebook, you're damn right Zuckerberg should be held criminally liable for allowing shit like that to happen. Okay. God bless all my friends, and I'll post this right now.